Hello, my viewer. Welcome to my YouTube channel and welcome to this new episode of Mental Health. Today is on 6th December 2023. We are at the middle of the 16 days of activism where we are talking about, ending sexual and domestic violence, domestic-based violence in the country and, the worldwide, yeah. And today I had a session at NTV where we were looking at SGBV in the direction or in the context of music production and those new people who are trying to nurture their talents, the young people who are now coming up in the industry and how they are being taken advantage of. The purpose of this video is not to focus on that. But when I was coming from the studio nikienda nyumbani, I had thoughts running through my mind. And I was trying to do a few research here and there online to look at exactly what the humanitarian organizations are doing, the non-governmental community-based organizations are doing in regard to the 16 days of activism. And the majority of what I could see is that most of these organizations, they are bringing together women and children, especially girls, and then they're educating them more about SGBV. That sounds like a good thing to do. But I'm going to change your mind and tell you why that is the long approach to ending SGBV, especially here in Kenya. Everywhere in the world, that has been the approach. And that is why, for hundreds of years, the issue of SGBV, that is sexual and domestic based violence, continues to increase instead of decreasing, while even with the efforts of so many organizations which are working even in the grassroots levels, in the communities down there in the villages, trying to end this. The one reason why this has not yielded any fruit is because these organizations, these governments are focusing on the long direction. The approach is long. I'm looking at women who are over 90% the victim of SGBV. Women and young children, especially girls. These days we have even sodomy. We have young boys who are being sodomized. It is in this current generation where we also have a slight increase in the number of men who are victims of SGBV, and especially it may not really be sexual violence, but the other parts, it could be emotional abuse, it could be physical abuse, psychological abuse, all other forms of abuse, not necessarily sexual abuse, although we have some men who are going through sexual abuse. But a very small number. The highest number of victims of SGBV is women. And now my question is to organizations, humanitarian organizations which are community-based. When you get to bring together women for 16 days, educating them and teaching them about SGBV, what exactly are you educating them about? Well, they are the victims. The problem is that we as a community, as a society, we decided to make domestic violence a women's issue. Well, 90% it is a men's issue more than it is a women's issue. And actually the people who we should be focusing on is not women and girls who are being left, who are being taken advantage of, who are being mistreated and physically abused. It is the men who are doing it. But look at the society. When a man batters or beats up a woman, there's a certain level of recognition that they are given in the society. When mwanaume, because you've done it. So the question is, what exactly are you educating women and children for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 16 days continuously about SGBV while they are the victims? And let me tell you something. there are chances that there are women who are attending these conferences, who are attending these meetings, and the same day, the same evening that they go home, after learning about SGBV, they are abused. The same day, after the seminar, after those events, they go home and they are abused. And let me tell you something. The only thing that we should be educating women and children who are a victim of SGBV is what SGBV is, how to recognize it, how to seek help and where to seek help. And now, trying to help them not to keep quiet while they are victims in the villages, in the homes. That is the only thing that we need to educate them. When it comes to ending this story, this narrative of SGBV, we should and we must involve men, because men are the ones who are doing this and not women. And unless for 16 days now you are teaching women and children karate and taekwondo, so that they can learn several styles, to be able to what do you call it? To be able to protect themselves from men who are beating them up. Unless for 16 days you are teaching women karate and taekwondo, I do not understand exactly what you are doing. And you know one thing, it is in the current generation where we have so many humanitarian and governmental community-based organizations which are not necessarily focusing on helping the community members. Their focus is getting fatter donations. Their focus is to get more people to come in and give them finances to help facilitate these programs, where in real sense, their focus is not the community. Their focus is to get money from donors so that they can be able to benefit themselves. I mean, look around you. There are so many organizations which are hiding, so many quacks, so many thieves who are hiding behind non-governmental organizations, who are hiding behind children's homes. And they just want people to come, give them donations, give them grants and all that, so that they can benefit themselves as the founders of those organizations. So here's the point. And this is what I want us to change about SGBV. We are looking at the long press, because if we have to end SGBV, we have to educate men, because 90%, or even let me say over 80% of men are the perpetrators and not the victims. So what are we exactly doing with the victim? What exactly are we educating the victim for that long? We need to come up with strategies where now we are going to bring men together and educate them on how they should end SGBV. And this idea that SGBV is women's issue, is a woman issue, and that now a certain group or a certain number of few men who are willing are now coming in to help women to end SGBV, that is actually making the matter worse. That is adding salt to the wound. It is actually the narrative or the perspective which is making SGBV almost impossible to destroy or to end. The issue of SGBV should be made officially to be men's issue, and we should bring in women to help. Therefore, it should be men coming together, those men who understand that it is wrong to abuse women and small children. They should be the ones coming together to create sense or to make sense out of this situation to the fellow men who are abusing their wives and their kids. It should be men helping men to stop SGBV, not men helping women, because this is not a women issue. It is a men issue. Men are the one, and for as long as the society is giving men a certain elevation of standard in the community, when they beat up their wives, when they abuse wives and children in the society, because we still have society today in Kenya which believes that for as long as you beat your wife, for as long as you do not beat your wife, you are not a man enough. So some of these communities are advocating for men to abuse their wives. While now we have organizations which are struggling to help these women, I don't know to do what, instead of focusing on men who should stop abusing women. We need to change the focus. We need to change the approach if we need or if we want to end SGBV in this country. It is currently on lice with more than about 3 women in 10 women being victims, being active victims of SGBV. And we are still focusing on women instead of focusing on men. We need to change that if we want as a country to end SGBV. So anyone who is only focusing on women to end SGBV is someone who have no idea on what they are doing. If your focus is only bringing women together and educating them about SGBV, those are the same women who go in the same homes that same evening and they'll be abused. And some of them have been threatened. Some of them cannot even speak about it because they have kids. There's a woman who have 5 kids. And then unamwambia ukienda ukipigwa na bwanako useme, atasema aje? Hawa watoto watano wataenda kuwatafutia chakula wapi? This husband is the same person who is providing for this family. So it is now this husband who we should now be getting out of these places and now educating them on the disadvantages and the harm that they are bringing into women and children by abusing them. We should not be focusing on women. We should be focusing on men. And actually it should be men, as I have mentioned, helping fellow men to understand the impact and the negative effect of SGBV. For as long as we are not focusing on that, forget about winning the battle of SGBV in this country. For as long as we are still focusing on women instead of men, forget about winning this battle. Because we need to talk about it with the victim, with the perpetrator, not the victim. We need to address this matter with the perpetrator, with the person causing this harm and this abuse. So it is time that organizations start rethinking and re-strategizing about SGBV in this country. We need to bring more men on board. We need to include men because this is a men issue. We need to stop excluding men simply because women are the ones being beaten up, because women are the ones being abused sexually. Now we are busy trying to protect women instead of trying to solve the problem. We are just doing like what some of the doctors are doing in this country. You go to a doctor, you have a certain problem. The doctor clearly knows that whatever you are suffering from is a problem which can be cured, maybe with diet. But there's the same doctor who is not going to give you the advice of changing your diet. They're already going to give you medication which is going to suppress the effects or the effects of these condition that you have. Instead of giving you the cure, they continue to give you medication which is already going to suppress the symptoms, so that you can go back next year, so that you can go back for 10 years instead of just giving you the cure. That is what some of humanitarian organizations and community-based organizations and groups are doing and behaving. Instead of us curing the problem of SGBV, we are busy giving small pills in the community to try and suppress the effects instead of curing the problem. And that is the approach that we need to start taking if we have to win this battle. So if you are out there, you are a member or a founder of a non-governmental organization or even a governmental organization which is community-based, and your focus is on ending SGBV or fighting SGBV in the community, stop focusing on women. Stop focusing on children. By the end of the day, they will still be abused whether you educate them or not. By the end of the day, they will still keep quiet whether you educate them or not. They will not speak out. Because the individuals abusing them are the individuals they look up to, are the people who are providing their daily needs and basic needs. So if my father abuses me today and tells me that if I speak about it, my father will stop paying my school fees, do you think I'm going to talk about it? I'll keep quiet. I'll shut up. If as a wife, the husband abuses them, And the husband tells the wife, if you dare to speak about this, I'm going to divorce you, I'm going to kick you out of this house, and you go with these 5 kids or 10 kids, and you're going to suffer out there trying to provide for them. Do you think this woman is going to speak out? Do you think this wife is going to speak out? They won't. They won't. No matter how much you want them to speak out, they won't. What we are talking about is, let us start including men in adding SGBV instead of only focusing on women, because SGBV is a man issue and not a women issue. With that understanding, we are going to end SGBV and stop pretending that we are doing something about it by only focusing on women. Only focusing on women who are victims. And in most cases, you find that in some of the villages, when a woman or when a man abuses a woman, the community elders are going to settle that problem. Unaambiwa sasa, because a man, you have abused a certain woman, what you are going to do is you are going to apologize to this woman. Uta apologize too because umempiga, so just apologize in the community setup and then continue with your lives, continue with your marriage. Wewe mwanaume umepiga huyu mtoto ama umeabuse huyu mtoto, so just bring 5 goats to the wazee wa kijiji, to the nyumba 10, waletee mbuzi 5, and then we have settled that matter. You woman who is being abused, you girl who is being abused, go back home and continue being abused. This man has enough goats. Tomorrow he is going to abuse you and he is going to bring more goats. Tomorrow he is going to abuse you and he will only come and apologize. The government need to wake up as well. Set up strategies and laws that are going to heavily punish these guys who are abusing women. Because kama najua nitapiga bibi yangu, alafu kesho niende niambiwe na chief ni apologize na ishia hapo, why should I not? Kama najua nitapiga bibi yangu, kesho niambiwe niende nitoe mbuzi 2-3 kwa wazee wa kijiji wakule, and then we forget that ever happened. Then why should I stop abusing? I mean, it feels good. All right? So we should think about how we are going to talk to men and not women. All right? I don't want to repeat myself much about that. But the point is, if you are a leader, if you are a member of an organization, you need to stop focusing on women to add SGBV and start focusing on men. Because men are the cause of all this. Men are the perpetrators and not the victims. And even those men who are victims, because we have men who are victims, we also help them on how they are going to do this. And now that's the only part where we should include women. So let women help men to add SGBV and not the vice versa. Are we together? Subscribe to this YouTube channel, share this video to someone else so that they can get this insight. And let us add SGBV together. Only by focusing on the light presence or the light source of SGBV. Men are the source, the root cause of SGBV. Let us focus on educating men. Let us focus on helping men to stop beating up their wives and abusing women instead of only focusing on women. Thank you so much. Let's meet in the next episode of Mental Health.